I'm DK Wesley, and I will start by opening and doing a roll call of the members. So when I call your name, if you could respond with present or here, that would be great. Commissioner Jasmine Beach Ferrara. Sheriff Quentin Miller. Pat Freeman. Maybe I should give folks a little more time. I'll start back over once I go through. Sylvia Clement. Deborah Campbell.
I'm here.
Okay. Danny Cohen. Susan Avett.
I'm here.
Okay. Lori Anderson.
And I'm going to do a quick interruption. If Jennifer, you don't mind to look in the attendees. I feel like there are a lot of them that are given attendee status, and attendees cannot turn their microphone or cameras on, so make sure to promote all of them to panelists.
We'll give a little time for that. Thank you, Max. Just let me know when you've completed that. All right, there are more faces on the screen. Good to see y'all.
Jennifer, try not to put all staff on. I'm starting to see staff get added as panelists too.
Okay.
All right. So it looks like we got most of the attendees moved over. That should be panelists. So I'm going to start over. Commissioner Jasmine Beach Ferrara, we're doing the roll call.
I'm present.
Thank you. Pat Freeman.
Here.
Thank you. Judge Alan Thornburg. Nakonda Garcia. Donna Roos.
Present.
Julia Horrocks. Rachel Nygaard.
Here.
Mayor Esther Manheimer. Thomas Ambergy. Thomas, I think I see you. Are you present?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Julia Horrocks.
Present.
Todd Williams. Sam Sneed. Jay Hackett. Robert Thomas. Chief Zach. Okay, so if my count is correct, we only have 9 members present. On today's agenda, we only have the consent agenda that needs to be approved. Having 9 members does not give us a quorum, so we will not be able to make any official actions on today.
Okay.
Yes,
We also have Regina and Lori, and we have Julia joined us, and Robert is also here.
okay. Robert Thomas,
Here.
all right. Lori Anderson, Tiffany, did Lori join us? Do you see Lori?
Is Regina? Regina, can you speak on behalf of Lori is present?
Regina? Just want to confirm, I see your name here, but if you could respond with a here present.
Present.
Danny Cohen? Tiffany, can you help me out? I have 11 now. Is that what you have? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue with the agenda. If there are items where we need action, by my count, we need 12 attendees. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if there's an item on the agenda where we need action, I'll do a check to see if anyone else has joined us before we take any votes. If not, then we'll have to reserve that for the next meeting. So because the consent agenda does have to be approved, I will go ahead and ask if we have any changes. If there are changes, we'll have staff make those changes and present those either when we have a quorum or at our next meeting. Does anybody have any changes to the February minutes? Seeing none, we'll make note that the members present don't have any changes to the agenda, to the February minutes. The next item for business is vice chair. As you all know, Leanne Melton was the vice chair of JRAC. She's retired, and Mr. Sneed has taken her place as the chief public defender. The vice chair seat is not by position, it's by vote. And so what we'll do here is I'll take any nominations for vice chair. We will not vote on it at this time. Staff will send out an electronic ballot for any votes if we have nominations, and then we will announce based on the votes who the new vice chair is at the next JRAC meeting. Do we have any nominations for vice chair of JRAC? Just for your information, if you don't have your bylaws in front of you, the vice chair facilitates the meetings in the chair's absence. But in addition to that, the vice chair helps support agenda setting for the body. So we have a pre-meeting where we discuss what needs to be on the agenda, and the vice chair participates that and supports the agenda setting process. Y'all need a little more time to think about who you might nominate, or if you would like to be the vice chair yourself, we can add this to the next agenda as well. So I'll just give it another minute, and if I don't hear any nominations, we'll make a note to add that to the next agenda. There's no rush, but we do need to fill that seat.
Hey, DK, this is Donald here. Does the nominee can they be a county employee as well, or are you looking for a non-county employee on that?
I don't think there's an official rule. At the least, they just need to be a JRAC member to be a vice chair.
Okay, thank you.
So give it some more thought. If you would like to consider self-nominating or nominating someone else, we'll add this to the next agenda for JRAC. Again, there's no rush, but we do need to fill the seat as soon as possible.
I got excited to see Donald muting himself because I thought he might self-nominate. I am hesitant to nominate anyone else because of the meeting commitments, but I think behavioral health would be a really strong addition, as well as potential city representation in that steering committee.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question, Rachel, is because I was thinking about nominating you. So there you go.
Back at you.
So do y'all want to give it some more thought and we'll bring it back to the next agenda? I'm really easy to work with, y'all. You'll enjoy it. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item. At our last meeting, we had in person, we were able to start the strategic planning process for the JRAC. I think that was a very good meeting, lots of good information and a really great start. We're going to continue that at least for the next 3 sessions, I believe. And so at this time, I'll turn it over to Bernadette Walks and Christina McEntee, who are representatives from the Performance Management Department here in Buncombe County, and we'll be doing the facilitation.
Great, thank you, DK, I appreciate it. So we've got an agenda plan for you guys. So we're gonna get going here. We've got the pretty full agenda and a limited amount of time to accomplish our goals. So first and foremost, I just want to say good afternoon to everybody, and I hope everyone is well on this Friday afternoon. And I want to thank you all for taking time from your busy schedules to participate in today's meeting. During our time together today, our plan is to touch base on what our purpose is. We're going to review the work from our last session. We're going to discuss the vision of the council. And we have an exercise planned that will kickstart the development of a strategic plan. Knowing that we do have a pretty full agenda and a limited amount of time to accomplish our objectives, I'm going to ask that you all hold questions and comments until the end of the presentation. Christine, if you wouldn't mind, next slide. Okay, so, I just want to quickly touch base on why we're here and what we're working to accomplish. And that is to begin the construct of a strategic plan that will help guide the focus of the council. So, big picture, that's what we're working towards. So these next series of slides are a summary of our session from last week. And we took the notes from the 2 breakout sessions where we worked on identifying strengths and weaknesses, as well as the vision that everybody came up with, as well as your commitment. So this next series of slides is a summary of those topics. Just wanted to share at a very high level some of those common themes that we saw emerging from the session. So as you can see, the first bullet points: broad backgrounds and experience of the group as a strength, community partnership and participation, grant funding, and so forth. I'm not going to read those to you, but I'll give you all a minute just to read it and digest it before we move on. Okay, so next slide. Once again, this is a summary of the common themes that emerged from both of the breakout sessions. So limited resources, lack of a strategic plan, some challenges around data. And once again, I'll just give you all a couple minutes just to read through that and digest the high-level summaries. Okay. So then with regards to the vision, based on the comments that were provided, there was clearly community-focused thoughts around vision, and there were also internally focused thoughts around vision. So we thought it made sense to split those two out into those kind of two different categories. So as you can see, from a community focus, some of the common themes were around disparities in the justice system, eliminating them, providing mental health and addiction programs to help increase diversion, coming up with a coordinated legislative effort, and so forth. Once again, just take a few minutes. I'll give you guys a few minutes to read those and digest them. Okay, Christina, if you will, please. Thank you, great. And then in terms of the commitment, so this is the exercise where everyone took turns going up to the board and reading out loud their commitments to JRAC. So once again, some of the common themes that emerged from that were collaboration, open and honest communication, engagement, reducing disparities, sharing, and increasing diversion opportunities. Those are some of the common themes that arose from those commitment comments. All right.
Sorry, I was trying to get myself off of mute. So I want to move over back to the vision that you all articulated at our last session. And I wanted to pull out the vision, the parts of the vision that were outward facing and community facing. So the vision for the future of the criminal justice system in Buncombe County in 2025. And the five that, or the four that stood out were disparities in Buncombe, mental health and addiction programs successfully increased diversion. Buncombe County has a coordinated legislative effort, reduction in the jail population, as well as individuals involved in the criminal justice system in Buncombe County. So those are the things that you all said in the year 2025, we want to see these things in place. This is the vision that we have. What else are we missing? Is there anything else that we're missing here as you all think about what the year 2025 will look like in Buncombe County for the criminal justice system? If there's anything missing in your mind, if you wouldn't mind going into the chat and writing those out for us. We'll give you a few minutes to do that. This is going to be an interactive session, so I want to just engage you all in answering that question. Is there anything that we're missing here? Or are these the four vision items for you all?
Just a clarifying question. When you say disparities in the Buncombe County justice system, are you talking about racial and ethnic disparities or other disparities?
I will have to look to your council for the answer to that question. This was the work of the council from the last session. So if there are participants here that can speak to that particular vision item, I would invite them to speak about that.
Hi, this is DK. That was one that I listed as a vision, and we were speaking to racial and ethnic disparities.
Thank you, DK.
Okay, thank you.
So as the chats are coming in, we're adding it to our list here. And I'll give you all just a minute or two just to wrap up any other additional thoughts you have around the vision of our criminal justice system. All right, Burnett, any more chats coming in?
Nope, the last one is from DK.
Okay. So additions to the vision are that Buncombe County residents report an increased sense of public safety. Just a clarification from Rachel that her group talked about not necessarily a reduction in jail population, but using our detention resources effectively. And then DK also added increased data sharing.
DK had some addition. You need to scroll down. Yeah, keep going. There you go.
Sorry.
Yep.
Increased data sharing, transparency, demystifying the criminal justice system for citizens.
Oh, we got one more. Hang on one second.
Sorry, I know I came in late with one.
Great, thank you. Adding anything about financial stability to continue supporting this work. Sustainability, sorry. So financial sustainability, transparency, data sharing, using our detention resources effectively, and residents reporting an increased sense of public safety will be additions to that you all are collectively pulling together here as a vision for the future. In addition to disparities in the justice system being eliminated, successfully increasing diversion, coordinated legislative effort, and reduction of individuals involved in the criminal justice system in Buncombe County. So those are additions to your vision. All right. All right, so I'm going to move back over to the presentation, and we're going to move now into strategy. This is how we will achieve our vision. So think about all of the underlying contradictions of what might be getting in the way of reaching this vision. Also, think about what would happen if we do not take action to remove the barriers to moving forward. As we're moving through this next part of our exercise, use downboard thinking. This comes from the game of chess. They say a champion chess player can think 7 moves down the board. It's about being proactive thinking rather than reactive thinking. So as we move into building your strategy, let's be looking at 2 or 3 different possible ways the future might go and what our strategies would be in order to be more proactive. And lastly, think about the game of bowling. The object is to throw one ball to knock down 10 pins. As we come to realize more and more how our organizations and roles are interrelated and interdependent, what are those actions that will catalyze other actions to impact the change we want to see? So I want you to, we're going to ponder this, this question. This is our brainstorming question that we'll spend the remainder of most of our time discussing. What are the innovative, practical actions that will propel you towards achieving your vision? So you all were sent a link in your email. And if you don't already have that, it's a Google Docs link or a Google Sheets link. If you don't already have that open, I invite you to go ahead and open that up now. Is there anybody that's having trouble finding that link? All right. So on that sheet, it looks like a spreadsheet. You'll see your name listed down the left-hand side of that sheet. And then across the top, you'll see the number of ideas. So I want you to go next to your name and in the tiles, begin to write out what are those innovative, practical actions that will propel you towards achieving the vision that we just talked about, we just moved through. What will get us there? What are those practical actions? And go ahead and take some time to go ahead and start filling in your thoughts on that sheet. I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
I'm sorry, this is for the JRAC vision?
This is for your vision of the criminal justice system in Buncombe County in 2025. This will begin to build the foundation of what your strategy will be to get there.
Okay.
And what I'll do, I'll actually pull up the vision that we just discussed that may help get your juices flowing on that. So these are the vision elements that you all have brainstormed.
I'm seeing ideas populating in the worksheet. Thank y'all.
Again, what are those innovative, practical actions that will propel you towards achieving this vision?
How's everybody coming? Does everybody have enough time to get the thoughts entered? Does anybody need any more time? All right. Okay, I am going to share that, that document. And our next exercise in this process is that as a group, we're going to work through this list to identify common actions or thoughts and create some groupings around those common actions and thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video and share the screen, and we're going to go through these and look to identify commonalities. All righty, can you all see my screen?
We can.
Okay, great. All right, so this is, let me see if I can, let me just delete or hide the folks that aren't here, just to kind of get us a little bit, take up a little less real estate, so it's a little easier to see what we got going on here. All right, so let's start with DK. Racial equity decision point analysis and reporting throughout the system. Folks, does anybody looking at this. Let's just quickly go. Doesn't like you have.
I can't hear you, Burnett.
Burnett, you're fading out.
All right. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Sorry about that. I guess my microphone's a little more sensitive than I thought.
Burnett, if you want to read DK's, I can read the next one and we can rotate that way.
Yeah, so sorry, I just did that. You guys look on it. So DK's first is racial equity decision point analysis and reporting throughout the system.
So Jasmine's got one that looks similar, and I've got one that looks similar. This is Rachel.
Okay, great. So Rachel, is that yours, number 2? Rachel?
I'm not sure what you're asking. I can't see the words on the screen because they're so small.
It's her last one, Burnett. It says common.
Okay.
Could be the other one too, the third one.
Yeah, I was scanning for ones that mentioned racial equity specifically. Oh, I see what you're saying. Which item? Yeah, the third one on my list wasn't specific to disparity data, but that could be a category.
Okay. Yeah, we're just looking for rough groupings right now. We can get a little bit more stratified and a second pass. So let's just go through and identify just kind of rough general categories or buckets these may fit into. Jasmine, looking at hers.
It's her third one.
Number 3, yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Burnett, for Donald Roos, identification of key performance metrics to analyze and drive informed change.
Okay. Thank you. What do you guys think? Could gathering data fit into that category?
I would actually put my first one, this is Julia, as more in that category.
Okay.
But yeah, I think data reporting and gathering data is maybe even a separate grouping.
Okay, fair enough.
I agree. I think that the one that you included from Donald and one of the ones you included for me may end up having to spin off to be their own data item.
Okay, well, why don't we, while we're on that topic, so Rachel, looks like your number 2 could fit into a data category. Julia, your number 2 is around data gathering as well too.
Yep.
Suzanne, you have access to accurate data. So there's definitely a common data thread in those. You guys see that differently?
I agree.
Okay.
Burnett, there's been a request to zoom in a little bit, like make the screen a little bit bigger. And you can also follow along on your own sheet. You should be seeing the changes in the color coding on your sheet as well.
How's that? Any better?
A little.
Knowing that this meeting is being streamed for people in the public online, I think you make it as big as you can possibly make it, and then we can scroll around on our own sheets.
I think there's another one. I think Rob's number 2 also falls into this category.
you.
I'd switch my third one from pink to purple.
Okay.
And maybe Don's if he wants to.
Agreed. I'd move that to purple.
Thank you, guys. All right, do we have any other data-themed thoughts? Okay, I'm not seeing any others. Anybody has any other common ideas around data, please let me know. We can add that to that color scheme.
Is action 5 on DK, is that a data item?
Yeah, it certainly requires data to perform root cause analysis. I was looking to see if there were any more, prevention or community violence reduction, but I don't see any, so.
Deborah's got one.
Okay.
I would add that to mine.
Yes, please continue to add as you think of just these very clear action steps that we can take. As your juices get flowing through this exercise, please add.
All right, let's keep going. So DK, keep me honest here. So your fifth one correlates with Deborah's first one?
Prevention, I think Deborah's second one maybe.
Okay.
In addition to Deborah's, I think I saw one for Thomas. His third one, it could be more than just community violence, but it definitely ties into preventing entrance into the criminal justice system. I was debating on that one, Thomas. I don't know what you think.
Well, I mean, my thought on that is once again, we spend a lot of time talking about data and stuff like that. But continuing the problem that I see as somebody who does this all day, every day, is I'd like to see a little more outreach and trying to just kind of educate the community, keep them from ever entering the justice system. I mean, once they're in the justice system, we've already got a problem on our hands. And so, for us to be successful 5 years from now, we need to be putting, I don't know what it looks like, but we need to be putting more effort into just trying to make sure people never even get involved in the first place, because often the damage is done.
So what does the group think? Does that fit into this prevention strategies and root cause analysis category?
I think it goes between that and pre-arrest diversion, so I'm not sure.
I mean, as the author of it, yeah, it falls in that category. I mean, because diversion, once again, that's more kind of the first point that I made as far as more options. I mean, I'd like to see our court system be a little more dynamic on some of these things, just because situations always look different. But the point of my third suggestion there is try to resolve them before they ever even interact with cops or somebody like me or a prosecutor, whoever it might be. Kind of the upstream problems that exist.
That makes sense to me too. I think we're talking about the differences between like primary prevention and then, prevention of long-term effects in the future. And I think we should distinguish those.
Okay, good conversation, y'all. All right, let's keep going. Do we have? All right, so we've got 3 kind of distinct buckets called out now so far. Let's just start working through this list and see if we can find where these fit in and or create additional categories as well too. So looking at DK's action number 2, development of a community engagement program that creates a continuous feedback loop and clarifies how people move through the system.
I think that one was a combination of a couple of things. Community engagement could be education, as well as creating some kind of transparency into the criminal justice system. But I think I did see a couple of other community engagement items. So maybe that's a bucket.
What about Nakonda's third one there? Building trust relationships among stakeholders in the community to work towards common goals. Community engagement program.
What do you think, Nakonda?
Yeah, I think that third one of mine fits into community engagement as well as the fourth one on my role. Collecting free feedback as well.
So group all these three together in their own category. Yeah, is everybody good with that?
This is Julia. Can you just add my fourth one that I added to the prevention category?
Sure. Okay.
There's also a second one from Suzanne Avett that talks about prevention being pre-arrest strategies.
Great. Thank you, Christina. Okay.
Hey, this is Donald here. My first one around increased options for pre-arrest diversion would probably touch on that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, does anybody, or any other of these that we can see fitting in any category? Patient, plans, connections. What do you guys think? Could this optimizing technology to streamline process? I mean, I could kind of see that fitting into this data bucket. Kind of, sort of.
And I think that may be a separate bucket, just because when I wrote that, it was in the context of using current technology to actually speed up processes, like, for example, sharing information with the courts and doing things electronically versus paper, like optimization of the technology itself.
Okay, more about process improvement and efficiency.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's keep going then. So DK's action item number 3, adequate resources provided to the public defender's office. So that one speaks to me more about making sure we have the proper resources in place.
There are several that do speak to funding.
Okay, let's go through.
I'm fresh off of a seminar about prosecutors and public defenders, so that's fresh on my mind. The role public defenders play, especially with individuals who are already in poverty as well.
So Donald, would your number 4 fit into that bucket, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think that what I was thinking of there is sometimes our organizations go through this in a bit of a siloed way on how we apply our funding and attack problems. And I think that there's a lot of options to look for braided funding options to increase capacity, sustain programs. If we look through more of a braided funding, we've done some unique projects with like state voc rehab lots of organizations actually have money that can address some of these issues we're talking about. A lot of times they're never brought to the table, and actually their funding isn't braided in a way that really helps support the programs.
Great, thanks for that context. So what do you guys think? I mean, it looks like DK's 3, potentially Donald's 4, Jasmine's 5th seems to fall into that funding kind of correlation. Anybody see that differently or feel strongly that those don't belong together? All right, I will take
Belong.
Say again, DK.
I would say it looks like they belong together.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's look for any other kind of funding related. What do you guys think? Could this one also fall under educational training resources? I mean, it's targeted towards first responders, but it's about increasing resources. They might feel strongly that it doesn't belong in there.
This is Tiffany. I see a lot about mental health services, so it could be either bucket. Like there's several that have mental health or services.
All right, let's pursue that one then while we're on that topic. So Tiffany, point me towards where your thought process is around where you see connections here.
Like Deborah's one, I mean, that could be resources or communication. Jasmine's lead can be pre-arrest diversion or more program resources. Increased supportive housing is another one. And then Julia's 3 is increased support around mental health and substance abuse.
Okay, so.
This is Jasmine. I'd add my second one into that too. I guess I did a lot under this category.
All right, so you guys say those two are keep me honest here, y'all. I'm hearing that those should be a separate bucket, right? We don't have an existing category for those.
Correct. It should be. I think Tiffany was saying that there's mental health should be its own focus area.
Okay. Tiffany, what were the other ones you mentioned?
Deborah's one, but that could also be collaboration, because I saw some collaboration themes. It's reminding me of the Buncombe County's strategic plans where you have some goals, but then there's some foundational goals as well when I'm looking at this.
Okay.
I kind of group housing in with mental health needs and other services too. And I feel like they go hand in hand in a lot of cases. So I would maybe include Jasmine's number 4 in it too.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, any others that we should bucket into that yellow category?
Is Rachel's number 1? That could be collaboration. It does speak to behavioral health as well. Rachel, which one do you think that will fall into? Would it fall into behavioral health, mental health, or a more foundational?
I think it could be either. There's going to be a lot of overlap between these. I think that both the collaboration and the mental health themes are emerging.
Okay. I'll put it in the yellow category. We can always reshuffle it if we need to. All right, so DK, you're number 4, appropriate response to 9/11 calls / incidents, pre-arrest diversion. So would that fit into this green category, you think?
I think it does.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, Deborah's number 1, coordination between social service providers and criminal justice providers. So it's coordination kind of theme here.
Rob and Rachel had someone collaboration and coordination.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the one that he turned yellow. I read it pretty similar to Deborah's.
Your first one, Rachel?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
I mean, I don't know which provider specifically Deborah had in mind. She might be thinking housing and legal and some beyond just mental health, but that's cross-system work is kind of what I had in mind.
Okay.
And Jasmine's number 1 is actually a pre-arrest diversion program lead. So that one can fit under green, I would think.
Thank you, Donald. Okay, then Rob. So here's collaboration. So
Red.
is that green or red?
I think red.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, did that?
Yeah, try undo.
Yeah. No, so okay, there we go. We're back. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, do we have any others in here around training, collaboration?
Julie,
Good. Sorry?
I was gonna say Julie 5.
Okay.
I think Rob's third one also falls under the red category.
And maybe is number 5 too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Does anybody see Donald's second one fitting into any of these existing categories that we have? Training resources. Let's see. I mean, that could we maybe put that in the orange one?
Orange or green, because first responders is that pre-arrest, but either or, and then
Better
because
form. Yeah, okay. Yep. Donna, where would you see that going? Into the orange category or the green?
Yeah, it's a little across from both of them. Probably more green than orange, I would guess, because more education, more training we give people, better the decisions they can make to keep people out of the system.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So Nakonda, this is one is really more about process and efficiencies. Empowering frontline staff to provide feedback to implement meaningful change. Do you guys see that fitting into any of the existing categories? And if not, that's okay. This is gonna be an iterative process that's gonna evolve here. What about Rob's first one? Creation of concrete plans that will generate specific action steps to take to achieve specific goals. I could kind of see some correlation between the Thomas first one there. That's more around like specific actions and steps, process and so forth. Let's see here. Okay, so Thomas, we have more options for disposition of cases.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in theory that could go in the green room, but it's also somewhat different. I mean, I think that the point I'm trying to make there is a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times our court system has a tendency to look at cases, at least serious ones, as just either jail or probation. And, you know, that feels way too rigid to me. And I think that's something our court system want to kind of strive to improve on a little bit, which is just kind of getting away from this model where jail is what we're always kind of trending towards. And every once in a while you cut somebody a break, I'll put them on probation.
Okay, got it. So, all right, I see your point. All right, let's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start trying to group these into buckets, right? Let's take all of the ones that we've color coded, and I want to create some categories or roll-ups around each of these. Okay, so you guys just bear with me here for 1 second while I do this. I would appreciate it. What ultimately we want to do is just go through each of these, make sure that they belong grouped together, and then we want to come up with a naming convention for each of these clusters or groups, right? And it's you know, the idea behind the naming convention is to, you know, create it's like starting with a verb, like an ing word, like, you know, increasing diversion or increasing funding to drive X, Y, or Z. So just bear with me here for 1 minute while I work on just trying to categorize these things, and I appreciate your patience with me as I do some copying and pasting here.
That's fine, Burnett. I actually think we have a quorum now, so if you all don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and get approval for consent agenda while he's doing that. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So earlier we talked about the February minutes, and there were no suggested edits to those minutes. If we have none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Hey, this is Donald. I so move.
Thank you. Second?
This is Regina. I so approve as well.
Okay. Any thoughts, discussion? If none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Thank y'all. Burnett and Christina, I'll turn it back over to y'all whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thanks, DK. I appreciate it.
And is it too late to add one more thing there, Burnett and Christina? So this one is more of an ideology standpoint, I guess. It seems like sometimes it's moving in the justice system that we need reminders or to reframe and remind everyone that the people that we're dealing with, the majority are still innocent because they haven't been proven guilty. And sometimes I think we get desensitized and function in a less supportive manner. And so I think having a system in place that is constantly reminding us that at any given moment we could be in this person's shoes, so that we don't get desensitized and we take a lot of effort into every decision and keep our perspective, focused. I think that would be something that should be a constant as we move forward in the next 5 years. Reframing.
So, Nakonda, how would you summarize that in a sentence or two?
I know that was a lot, right?
All good, though. It's all good.
Let's see. How would I summarize it?
Good. You work through it. Think about that while I'm doing this. You go ahead and just enter it into our matrix here, and we'll figure out where to plug it in.
Okay.
I think, Nakana, you may be thinking about, well, not necessarily behaviors, but I want to say biases or implicit biases. Do you think that could be accomplished through recurring training? Or if you think about what action you think we can take or what we can include as a recommendation in the strategic plan that will help support that? Are you thinking about just thought process or behaviors that come from perceptions?
I'm thinking it could be a training, but it probably would fall under the community engagement the more that I think of it, like hearing real life stories so that we stay connected emotionally to the individuals that we're serving.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Nakanda. I think that those are the sort of the harder to put our hands around kinds of things sometimes because it's about culture, but important to include.
Thank you. I'm going to try to put a one-liner on this.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks. Almost there. Thank you all for your patience.
Thomas, I wonder if your expanding expungements could fall under the yellow category, because it helps increase the kinds of services and support that people will have access to.
Yeah, it may. I'll tell you, Julia, the only kind of pushback I'd give on that on some level is a lot of our conversations that we have about on JRAC here are about dealing with people in the system, trying to keep them out of it, and those kind of things. We also need to be cognizant of there's generations of people who have had various different charges and interactions with the criminal justice system that we maybe ought to keep an eye on. I mean, we shouldn't only be concerned with the people that are entering it. We ought to also kind of be thinking about the people who out there who had interaction with the criminal justice system 20 years ago, and it's still following them around. What can we do to help them? And
yeah.
So I mean, we can put it under whatever bucket we want to, but that's the reason I think stuff like that's important. We can't just be looking what's in front of us and what's in the future. I think we ought to be cognizant of what's been done in the past.
I agree 100%. I'm a big fan of expungements. To me, it just seemed to fit in that category, so I was trying to see if that made sense to you.
Yeah, it may. I just kind of want to make that point to everybody, and I'll freely point out that my little idea there has a lot to do with legislators and judges than it does with just our little committee group. But I think it's something to look at. It's important moving forward.
I'll park it there, and we can further discuss and review that.
But remember, Thomas, we had a legislative agenda on the vision, so maybe we can use our committee's influence.
Sounds great.
All right.
Talk about learning how to be okay with silence.
Sorry about that, y'all.
It's okay. It's killing me. You're all right. This is a work session. This is a work session.
How about you sing for us?
No.
All
Maybe
right,
if we were in person, I could pass the collection plate around after.
there you go.
While this occurs, I wonder if Christina or someone could explain kind of the vision for what happens after this. What's it all feeding into?
So Rachel, this is really going to be the construct to some extent of the strategic pillars of the plan, right? So we're gonna take a look at this, and these are defining, in theory, the actions that are going to further the cause, if you will, that we're going to kind of define what these roll up to. If that makes sense. And then defining specific targets and actions of the work group will be in a future session.
So process-wise, knowing that we're in a meeting that just barely got to quorum, what are some ways that we could get input from those who aren't on the call today?
So the next step, after this session, Christina and myself will be meeting with the executive committee or the steering committee to discuss the output of this. I would suspect that after we have that session, we could take the input and feedback from the steering committee and provide that to the broader group. Not sure if that fits your needs that you just discussed, but that would be one potential option.
That's definitely the plan, being that we have alternating meetings now where we have a full body and then we have a steering committee. We're hoping to gather this data and then present it to the steering committee. There may be some refining of the focus areas. There's quite a few of them who aren't on this call, so we're hoping that they can add their thoughts to the different focus areas, and then we'll bring it back. Hopefully send it before the next meeting. Send it out so you all can have some time to really think about where we are in the current version, and then come back together and refine it.
All right, y'all, let's go through the list here. We'll go through each one of these categories just to make sure that everybody feels comfortable that we've got these action items grouped appropriately. So let's start with purple. We're just going to go through this list real quick. So the first one, identification of key performance metrics to analyze and drive informed change, gathering data, increased data sharing, transparent data reporting to the public, having access to proper data and metrics, access to accurate data. Does anybody feel like any of those do not belong in that grouping? Everybody good with that? Speak now, if ever hold your peace. DK, I see you shaking your head.
Shaking my head, yes. That sounds good.
All right, let's keep going then. All right, so the next, the green category, we've got appropriate response to 9/11 calls and incidents, pre-arrest diversion, root cause analysis and development of sustainable solutions to reduce community violence, prevention strategies, increase educational and training resources for first responders to take better informed actions, increase options for pre-arrest diversions, identify prevention options and strategies, prevention pre-arrest strategies, preventing individuals from entering the justice system.
I just want us to capture Julia's suggestion from earlier. I thought it made a lot of sense that we look at prevention from the sort of the immediate piece as well as the long range. So if we're looking at the long range prevention, we may have our youth programs. We do have a juvenile justice representative on this body, and there's a school justice partnership. Whereas the diversion, pre-arrest diversion is more of the, Julia, you had better terms for these two categories, but the kind of
primary prevention, primary versus secondary and tertiary prevention. I might, yeah. I agree that there might be two categories there for a couple of these, and might actually help us include some of the ones that don't have categories yet. I was trying to look back while you were talking, Rachel, to see if I could identify those to follow up.
So not necessarily something that as an exercise for right now, but just a note.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And I would also add that perhaps making the public feel safe while we're doing all this. I mean, I think that's going to be key as well.
Okay. All right, but for right now, at 10,000 feet, from what I'm hearing, the category things seem to kind of fit together. There may need to be a little bit refinement moving forward to create maybe some delineation around initiatives and actions. Am I tracking with everybody? Is that?
It depends on what we call it. What happens, how we train our first responders and what they do in a scene, to me is really different than understanding what's causing violence and trying to do upstream work.
Okay.
Could we call, if for right now, as it stands, could we call it primary and secondary prevention? Because then I think we're naming that there are a couple different subcategories there. And it would also help us include like the second one down in the unnamed or ungrouped column, and maybe some others.
Intervention, prevention, what, give me a placeholder here real quick.
Prevention. Does that do what you were hoping for, Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to work on, time permitting, we're going to work on trying to create category names for these groupings. So let's just make sure that we've got, everybody's okay with the parts and pieces that we've assembled so far. So in the blue category, the first one is development of a community engagement program that creates a continuous feedback loop and clarifies how people move through the system. Second is building trust relationships among stakeholders and the community to work towards common goals. Third is collect feedback from justice-involved individuals on a consistent basis. Use that feedback to set targets.
Those fit well together.
Yeah, okay.
Three.
All right, let's keep going then. Okay, the pink category, racial equity decision point analysis and reporting throughout the system, ongoing ways to assess racial equity efforts and assess disparities throughout full continuum of resident interactions with justice system, including at arrest, booking, sentencing, etc. Regular community engagement, particularly the most affected by the criminal justice system. Common racial equity practices across organizations, JRAC members.
I feel like that third item should probably be in the blue category, the category we just left.
Okay.
It centers more around community engagement and less focused narrowly on racial equity. I don't know what others think.
Does anybody feel strongly that shouldn't be the case? All right, we will park it here. Okay, any others in?
Renee was doing a time check too.
Yes, we have 8 minutes left.
Renee, we want to give a little time for the members if they have anything they want to announce towards the end, maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, fair enough, DK.
Mm-hmm. And also to check in to see if there's any public comment.
Got it. Okay. We can always pick up where we left off here. So I know we were trying to get through this. That was our plans, but I mean it's a working session. So we'll just keep working. All right. Let's keep going then. Does everybody feel good that these three belong together? Okay. Okay, the orange category, adequate resources provided to the Public Defender's Office. Explore braided funding models to increase sustainability across programs. And the third, ongoing funding for new innovative ideas from the JRAC partners, public defenders, DAs, APD. As stakeholders learn more about what is and what isn't working, we should encourage innovation and ensure new ideas can be resourced. That sounds pretty good. Yeah. Okay. All right, the red category. So coordination between social service providers and criminal justice providers, collaborate with other JRACs and similar partners across the state to better coordinate legislative agendas and other initiatives, enhance connections between behavioral health and criminal justice systems and programs, regular participation from other JRAC members, understanding that collaboration doesn't require agreement on all issues, looking into models being used in other communities. That talks to me about collaboration.
I believe that the could potentially go to the green category for crimes, for prevention strategies.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Rob. Anybody feel strongly that it shouldn't be in that green bucket?
Which one? I couldn't hear him. The last one?
Yeah, right. So last one, DK.
I can support that.
Okay. All right, let's just try and get through this yellow one, and then DK, I'll turn it back over to you for questions and public comment. All right, increased services for people in mental health crisis, including crisis response, increased support of housing capacity in the county, significantly increased support for those experiencing mental health needs, and expanding expungements. Anybody feel strongly that any of those don't belong in this category?
What is this category? Is it just services?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if expungements works there or not. Maybe it depends on if we have other advocacy items.
Anybody else have any ideas, any thoughts?
That can kind of be the increased resources line, and then you can move the more options for disposition of cases. So then there's one for like financial resources in orange, and then one for resources to like program.
So Tiffany's saying like that?
And even expungement to keep it over there too. And I don't know, even the other gray that Nakonda had, it's optimizing resources too. It kind of.
Okay.
I do like the Nakonda's item around efficiency, because that's one thing that we haven't really talked about is moving cases along in the system faster. But that's one of the ways that we know we can get jail bed days saved.
Agreed.
Okay. Great. All right. So just being respectful of time, we've got 3 minutes left. So I will stop sharing my screen, and DK, I'll let you take over.
Thank you, Burnett. Do we have any public comment, Jennifer? That's the next item on the agenda. We do want to make sure we save time for that. Anyone who wants to make public comment?
There's no comments listed on Facebook feed.
Thank you, Max.
And no comments from the attendees.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, so then now we'll have any announcements or departmental updates. I'll just open it if anyone wants to share anything for the good of the group.
Oh, can I give an update?
Sure.
So Buncombe County just received an award with Dogwood Trust that will provide for people working in the detention facility or in the community for when individuals are released, to make sure that they follow up with their diversion plan, or if they've been ordered through the JEST program, that they have that resources needed to be successful once they've been released from our detention facility. So more information to come on what the execution looks like, but I just wanted to give everybody that information.
Tiffany, while you're speaking, can you also update, did the Safety and Justice Grant go in, the application?
Sorry, yes, we did get that submitted on the 25th, and Hannah's gonna be creating some contextual information as well as sending out the documents so you guys are updated. I know we had a work session 2-3 weeks ago to get JRAC's input, and so she's gonna be following with you all accordingly in the next week or so. Thank you.
Hey, this is Donald here. Just wanted to update the group. VIA has received additional CARES funding from the state around coronavirus relief. We've significantly opened up our benefit package for state-funded members, so that's additional ACT slots across the system, our community support teams, our medication-assisted treatment programs, some of our housing programs for uninsured individuals in order to get more access to that. So know that's available. The funding is only good through 12/30 of this year, and then everyone turns into a pumpkin. So we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do after that date. But definitely, if you have individuals that can take advantage of that, all of our providers are ramping up now, opening up additional capacity around that. So that is available.
Thanks, Donald. I'll make this quick. This piggybacks on, this is Rachel. Buncombe County also has various revenue streams that we've pulled in, CARES Act and other COVID response funding. And on the housing note, there's a special housing program going on. People can call Buncombe County HHS at 250-5500 to apply for emergency financial assistance, which we're utilizing some of those federal funds for.
Thank you. Any more updates? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Is that Thomas?
Yeah.
Second?
Okay, this is Donald. I'll second.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you all for your participation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our next meeting is December 4th. We're hoping to correspond with you via email as we continue to develop the strategic plan as well. Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everybody.